right, this time the court's going to go ahead and call Bell County calls number 305,407-B. This is in the interest of Davis minor child. Non-custodial party being Marshawn Davis, custodial party being Renisha Wanamaker, and this matters before the court on a supermodification and motion to confirm arrears. Court is taking judicial notice of the court file. Note for the record, this matter was filed back in March of this year. At the time of the filing, the state was alleging about $5,000 and some change in child support had as far as arrears are concerned, and $1,000 and some change in cash medical. Court will note that Ms. Wanamaker was served in March, filed an answer. Mr. Davis was served in April, on April the 3rd. So all parties have probably been noticed and served in conformity with the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure. So at this time, I ask the state for an open and tell the court what the state's requesting we do here today and what you understand the contested issues to be at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state's understanding is parents are in agreement that child is currently on government medical through the mother. I believe parties are also in agreement that this should be a temporary order to give the father an opportunity to find out what other health insurance is available for the child. For the temporary order, the state is asking for $85. It's the state's understanding that Mr. Davis will be asking the court for deviations for current support, and that the state had also pled for non-disclosure, Your Honor. The mother is asking that it could be continued from the prior order in this case. Father is not in agreement with it continuing. And then I believe that's everything, Your Honor, other than with regard to the confirmation of arrears. I don't believe we have a dispute as to the amounts shown on the financial activity report. Mother is wanting to give father credit of $350 directly paid through CashApp since the beginning of the order. State has no objection to that, but then we'd ask to confirm remaining balances and set appropriate repayments, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and get a temporary order done here. Again, I've always been a little leery of the fact that we got, I don't know that the state's pled for non-disclosure. I'm not sure if the state pled to modify non-disclosure. So now I have to look at that order yet again, because I think the order still controls, because that was a final order. Unless there's a request for modification of that, then I'm not sure if I can even take that up, but I'll take a look at that. But in the interim, I'll go ahead and let you call the both witnesses, see what Mr. Davis wants to do and why he thinks why you think we should deviate. And we'll take it to there. And like I said, we'll make this a temporary order as far as those matters are concerned, and we'll proceed. Mr. Davis, the master math. You heard me say that. I probably heard me say that a couple dozen times since you've been coming out, since you've been in court. And it's up to you to show why the court should not use the math that the state legislature says I'm supposed to use in figuring out what you should pay in child support. And again, you have to have a legal reason for me to do it, other than the fact that, again, like I say, it's not a legal reason that it's hard for you to afford that. But again, I'll see what your circumstances are, sir, and we'll take it from there. And again, I'm looking at making this a temp order, and I will look at that request for the non-disclosure to see whether or not that's technically modifiable. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and ask both you and Ms. Wanamaker to unmute yourselves and raise your right hands, please. All right, do you both solemnly swear or affirm your testimony you're going to give here today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
Yes.
Mr. Davis, Ms. Wanamaker, you're under oath. You put your hand down. Mr. Davis, you're muted, sir. You need to unmute yourself.
Yes.
All right, you're officially under oath, sir, and I'll let the state call you both as witnesses, and at the end of the hearing, if either of you have something else you think you need to add, please let me know. So thank you very much, and I'll let the state proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Ms. Wanamaker. Ma'am, what is your full name?
Renisha Wanamaker.
Who is the child in this case?
Davis.
How are you related to her?
I'm her mother.
Who is her father?
Marshawn Davis.
And ma'am, at this time, how old is Anaya?
She's 6.
Were you able to hear my opening statement to the court?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your understanding of the issues the three of us were bringing to the court today?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, ma'am, since this court did the order establishing parent-child relationship, there have been changes to either the circumstances of you, your daughter, or Mr. Davis, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, how does your daughter have health coverage?
Through Medicaid.
Are you aware of any other sources available through your work or Mr. Davis's work or the marketplace for her?
No.
And for that reason, ma'am, you understand that the state is requesting that Mr. Davis pay cash medical support beginning July 1st of 2024 in a new amount based on his income and one other minor child?
Yes, ma'am.
The amount I believe I quoted to you, ma'am, was $85. Was that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
And apologies, ma'am, 83. Does that also sound close to what I said?
I think you said 85.
I wrote down as
Yeah.
85, Ms. Bongat, so.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Just double checking what I did actually mention. And then, ma'am, as far as this being a temporary order, so Mr. Davis has a chance to look at what other options there are you in agreement with that?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, ma'am, previously, Mr. Davis was ordered to pay both child and medical support to you for your daughter, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And as of yesterday, ma'am, June 24, 2024, would you agree that the state's payment record indicated he owed $5,751.35?
It shows something differently on my end as
Okay.
far as the back payment.
And was I correct, ma'am, in letting the court know you would like to give Mr. Davis credit of $350 based on direct payments you received from him through CashApp?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, may I share my screen?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. And shortly, ma'am, you should be seeing a payment record. Let me see. Are you seeing a chart with green boxes at the top, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
And ma'am, I realize it's very small, but at the top of page 1, there's today's date, and I'm going ahead and scrolling to the end. But even on page 10, can you make out Mr. Davis's name and your own?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. So as far as the last amount showing for child support, do you see $5,751.35?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so from there, ma'am, you would agree to get rid of $350 based on that direct payment. So Mr. Davis only owes $5,401.35.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, ma'am, as far as the cash medical amount, are you seeing $1,544.29?
Yes, ma'am.
And based on that having to be paid through the state, ma'am, you understand the state's requesting for judgment in full and then appropriate repayment as ordered by the court.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
At this time, I'll stop sharing my screen. And then, ma'am, as far as the non-disclosure or this court ordering that your address didn't have to be disclosed, you were aware of that from the prior order, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were actually wanting that to continue today unchanged?
Yes, ma'am.
And am I correct, ma'am, in guessing that the reason is partly due to Mr. Davis's criminal history that's occurred since that first order?
Yes, ma'am.
Additionally, you also obtained a protective order from the district court against Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there anything else, ma'am, on this issue of non-disclosure you wanted the court to consider?
No, just his record.
And then, ma'am, as far as the child support amounts, you were wanting this court to order guideline, no deviation downward, correct?
Correct.
And even though you and Mr. Davis were served both as of April, you weren't asking that we go backward to May, but just start forward July 1st, correct?
Correct.
Anything else, Ms. Wanamaker, you wanted the court to consider?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, ma'am. When did you get the protective order in district court?
I don't even want to lie. I can't remember. It's been so long. I just know that it lapsed October of last year.
All right, so it was within 2 years of October of last year, correct?
Yes, sir.
So it was after this order.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Can you call your next witness, Ms. Mongat? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Mr. Davis. Sir, what is your full name?
Marshawn Gornell Davis.
And sir, is it correct that you are Zania's father?
Yes, ma'am.
You're also the person who was ordered to pay both child and medical support in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And sir, were you able to hear my opening statement to the court?
Yes, ma'am.
So the issues I described to the court were the ones you understood the three of us who would be asking for rulings on?
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes, sir. The issues that I described to the court, that was a full list of the things we wanted the court to consider and rule on?
Yes, ma'am.
And sir, when I was questioning Ms. Wanamaker, I shared my screen and showed the financial activity report in this case. Did you have an opportunity to see that as well?
I'm not really financially able to pay that. I'm barely being able to pay that.
Sir, that wasn't the question. I'm sorry. The question was, did you see what the state alleges that you, as far as what you owe, as far as your payments to the state's disbursement units are, sir?
No, sir.
All right, you did not see that.
No, sir, because she was talking to her.
No, she was she shared the screen, sir, with everybody in Zoom, in the Zoom hearing to show what that amount was. You didn't see that?
No, sir.
All right, bring it back up, Ms. Mongat. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Davis, do you see this chart with green looking boxes at the top?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, I realize it may be a little small, but this is supposed to be page 10, dated today, with your name and Ms. Wanamaker's name. Can you make those things out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so, sir, as far as the last amounts on this document, I was wanting the court to know we show an arrears balance of $5,751.35 for child support. And then I was asking Ms. Wanamaker about the $350 credit she was willing to give you. So it actually goes down to $5,401.35. Does all of that make sense, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, sir, with regard to the cash medical support arrears, I'm showing that you owe $1,544.29 and asking that it be confirmed in full because I'm not aware of any payments otherwise, and they would have had to come through the state to the state.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, sir, if judge makes the judgments for those arrears today, we're asking that appropriate repayments be set, hopefully above the interest amount, so those don't go up, correct?
I'm confused on that question.
Okay, fair enough, sir. It was a bit of a messy one. So first off, you don't have a problem, sir, with the court confirming the arrears as shown for medical support and after the credits given by the mother on the child support arrears, correct?
I want to pay my own insurance for her.
Yes, sir. That's not the part of the question I'm asking.
I'm not understanding. I need somebody to help me. I'm not understanding what you're saying.
I'll break it down a little more, sir. Right now, I'm talking about what you owed based on the prior orders. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so the child support, we're not going off of what was on that chart I showed, but the amount after the mother gave you credit for $350.
Yes, ma'am.
And then for medical support, I'm asking that the full $1,544.29 be confirmed. And once confirmed, judge will set the amount you need to repay towards each of those balances. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Moving on to the current support. I had announced the figures for your daughter's cash medical and then child support, each of those beginning July 1st as a temporary order. Did that part make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
But you, sir, in addition to wanting the time to find another option for your daughter's health coverage, you also don't like the amount of 85, correct?
Correct.
Do you know, sir, if there are options provided by your work or the marketplace at this time?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. Is it correct, sir, that you have another child besides Zanaya?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that child covered by something on the marketplace or the same coverage as Ms. Wanamaker currently has for Zanaya?
It's the same as she has for Zanaya.
Okay. And so, sir, would you agree that the amount I was using in this case was based on your work history since you were released from jail in 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And besides the one that I announced to the court, you were also aware of numbers I calculated just based on 2024 earnings, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But either way, Mr. Davis, you were wanting the court to consider ordering an amount less than what the Texas legislature says should be paid in this case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What amount, sir, would you be able to pay if not the $535 in this case?
It's 420.
And sir, what expenses do you have that Ms. Wanamaker or any other person in court today wouldn't have to justify that deviation from guidelines?
I mean, I just got out of prison. I'm barely making it. I'm trying to build back up. My old people, I had loans out. I got a car note. I got a house, apartment. I'm behind on it. I'm trying to catch up on things, and I'm just getting farther pushed behind. I don't mind paying, taking care of my child. I take care of my child outside of child support. I barely ever see my child.
And sir, focusing on the funds, you haven't been back to jail since you got out in 2022, correct?
Correct.
And you've been fortunate enough to be employed for all quarters since then, correct?
Yes, on and off. Employment, on and off.
And is it correct, sir, that you are a truck driver?
Yes, ma'am.
And with the current job that I believe you started 3 months ago, they actually pay you a percentage of the value of each load you drive?
Yes, ma'am.
And prior to that, sir, so closer to the beginning of the year, your work was paying you $21 an hour, 40 hours a week?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What else, sir, would you like the court to consider with regard to the amount of support that should be done for these temporary orders?
That's it. I'm just behind on loans, things I owe.
I'm sorry, sir. Just to clarify, you're saying you have some loans, something else, and a car note?
Yes, ma'am.
What loans do you have that a normal person wouldn't have?
That's true. I have the same loans, but that payment is outrageous. Like, I don't even see this child. I don't even know this child.
Sir, don't go down that path. It's not about whether you see the child, don't know the child. We're trying to figure out what your expenses are and why the court should deviate. So you need to focus on that. So I'll ask that up front. What loans do you have? What loans do you have out there other than a car note, sir?
I have a car loan out. I have furniture loans out. I pay 2 phone bills for my oldest child. I pay her child support. It's just tearing me down. It's supposed to be helping me. It's tearing me down.
All right, sir. And what's your you say you got a furniture note you got a note on furniture. How much is that each month?
It's let me see. $200.
And your car note is how much each month?
$400.
I'm sorry, what year, make, and model is your automobile?
I didn't understand you, sir. What did you say? I'm sorry.
What year, make, and model is the automobile that's under that note, sir?
2013 GMC.
All right, and your current job, sir, you say you get paid by the load now instead of by the hour?
Yes, sir.
And how much and how often do you get paid?
I get paid weekly.
All right. And if you had the opportunity to to figure out what your average weekly pay has been in that job since you got it 3 months ago, sir.
Yes, sir.
What's the amount?
Monthly.
No, you can give me weekly.
Weekly. It be ups and downs. Sometimes I might make 7, sometimes I might make 9. Because I get paid by the load, and when rainy days come, I don't work. It be ups and downs.
Sir, again, I was asking for what you think you averagely make each those months. Did you give that information to the state when they were calculating your child support?
No, sir. I work ups and downs. On rainy days, we don't work. So a month, I'll say.
What's the lowest amount you've ever gotten paid, sir, for a week?
The lowest amount I ever got paid was like $600. You know, it's on a bag.
And what's the highest amount you've ever been paid?
$1,000.
Okay. All right, Ms. Mongat, did y'all use the average for over the last year, or how'd y'all average out that child support, please?
Yes, Your Honor. So we went back to third quarter of 2022, all the way to first quarter of 2024, totaled all of Mr. Davis's earnings and divided, so we got a monthly average of that $3,703.
Okay. What's his current child support? I'm sorry, I didn't even look at that.
Yes, Your Honor. Current child support from Mr. Davis is $261.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Davis, how long do you think it's going to take you to figure out what we're looking at as far as possible medical insurance that you'll be able to provide for your kids in this case, and maybe even the other case? How long you need, sir, to look for that?
I say maybe can we do around by July 10th?
Oh, that's kind of quick, sir. That's only a couple of weeks off. You think you can do it by then, or you want a little longer?
Let's go longer. Long as I can extend it, I'm able to extend it.
Well, I was going to look at the last. Well, the state's not. I'm not going to have lawyers the last week of July, but that week before the last week of July, I was going to give about 4 weeks to see what you can find one way or the other, sir.
I'm okay with that, sir.
Okay. All right then. All right then. Okay, I'll look at some dates here in just a moment. And I'm sorry for interrupting, Ms. Bongat. Do you have any other questions of Mr. Davis at this time?
Yeah.
No, I asked Ms. Bongat. She had any other questions, sir? I'll react to you in just a moment. Thank you.
Okay.
No, Your Honor, not for the temporary order.
All right then.
Mr.
Davis. Anything else you want to tell me, sir?
I would like to know what can I do to try to get visitation right between me and my child.
All right, sir, your prior order controls that. And I don't think the protective order is still in full force and effect according to the mom. So you got to look at the last order. But sir, I can't give you any legal. You're asking me to give you legal advice. I'm a lawyer. Ms. Bongat's a lawyer, but we don't represent you, sir. So I can't give you legal advice on what you may want to do. You got a copy of the order. You can take that to a lawyer and let them figure it out for you. But lawyers are a lot more expensive than I know lawyers that charge a lot more than $430 an hour. So yeah. So again, that's left up to you to get someone to give you legal advice on what you may or may not be able to do, sir. Sorry, I can't give that to you.
Okay.
All right, then, Ms. Walker, what's the least crowded date that last week of July that y'all going to be here? Let me bring up the Zoom codes. Let's see.
July 23rd.
Okay. Tuesday? Okay. All right, we'll look at doing a reset for final on this July 23rd. That gives that's almost a full month. Ms. Baga, I'm looking at going ahead and just making a temporary order for temporary child support and temporary cash medical and coming back on. It's only going to be the month difference. Come back and deal with everything else. Give Mr. Davis the opportunity to see what he can find. Mr. Davis, I'm going to be honest. I don't think you're going to find anything cheaper than $85 a month out there as far as insurance is concerned. But you're welcome to look for it, sir. If you got something, let us know when we come back. I'm looking at resetting your matter for Tuesday, July 23rd, and putting you on the 9 o'clock docket for that day, and we'll take that issue up. I'm looking at going ahead and order the temporary child support amount of $425 and a temporary cash medical amount of $50. Starting the 1st of July. But when we come back, sir, again, you're going to have to give me more than this, sir. The math's the math. I understand. You heard my morning speech. I give that every morning. It's not a legal reason for me to deviate from child support. It's because of your expenses, sir, or it costs you money and it's hard for you to survive. I've got to have a legal reason to do something different than the law says I'm supposed to do. Unless you produce that, I've got to order you to pay child support on what you've been averaging making, sir. Again, you got 2 cases, so you owe at least 35% of your money each month to child support, which is just just not a good thing. I'm sorry, it'd be tough for anybody to live off 65% of what they earn. But unfortunately, under your circumstances, sir, that's what the law requires because you got 2 separate children or 2 separate people, and it's 17.5% each. So the math's the math, sir. So when I come back, I'm going to be, unless you give me a legal reason why I should deviate, I'm going to be probably ordering something a lot closer to guidelines, and I'll have the state recalculate based on the prior 12 months of what we're looking at here. And that way, the law says I'm supposed to look at what you earned over the last 12 months, because that's more likely what you'll be able to at least average going forward. And we'll figure out what the overall math is, sir. Well, we're going to come back on the 23rd of July. And until then, it's $425 child support, $50 cash medical. And I'll let you present any further information for why the court should deviate on that day, sir, so you can do your own research. And you can and then you can also do a search for whether or not you'll be able to find a reasonable health insurance for this child. And obviously, if you find health insurance, you can put both your kids on that. So at this time, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Davis, and I'm going to go to Ms. Wanamaker. And Ms. Bagat, I'm going to hold in advance the finding on the non-disclosure because I'm thinking I'm trying to find it in the motion, but I'm not finding it under the modification language, so I don't think I can touch it. So anyway, Mr. Davis, questions? Anything else, sir?
How am I supposed to get insurance on this child? I don't know anything about this child. I don't know where she stay at. I don't got her mama number. I don't have anything.
Mr. Davis, here's the deal, sir. You don't need that to find health insurance, okay? If you find a health insurance package that you feel like you can afford and you want the court to order you to maintain it, then we'll get you the necessary information. But you're going to have to get the court's permission. I can't have any fly-by-night. You can't get TempleTexasInsurance.com, okay? That's just not going to work. So You can go out and look for your insurance, but you don't need that personal data to get to find an insurance package at this time, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next question, sir.
No more questions.
All right, Ms. Wanamaker, any questions, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right, folks, hate to make you come back and sit through this again. Hopefully we'll get you to the top of the draw next time, since this is a repeat case for that day. But I'll go ahead and, like I said, we're going, and I've already told Mr. Davis, I'm looking at having to follow what the math is going forward. It is what it is. And unless he can research and find something that's in his expenses that are out of the ordinary, or a reason for the court to deviate legally, the court's going to be, and we'll have to go with the guideline child support, or darn close to it. I can deviate 10% easily, and that's only about $50. But that's as much as the court can deviate and not have to make a real specific finding on why I do the deviation other than him not being able to afford it. I do the deviation other than him not being able to afford it. Okay.
Your Honor, I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So as far as with the non-disclosure, are you saying from our previous court order, it shows my address?
No, sir. No, ma'am. I'm saying that it granted non-disclosure from your previous court order, and this is a modification. And I'm trying to figure out whether or not that was thrown in the mix as something that could be modified. If it was not, then I cannot change it, ma'am. I know that's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. I know you're not a lawyer, but as a lawyer, Ms. Bongat understands what I'm talking about. And again, I just did a quick perusal of the prior order and the motion. So I'm trying to figure out whether or not it was actually, I know the state pled for it, but since it was already granted, this technically would be a modification of the last order for that purpose also. And technically right now, I'm of the legal opinion, I may not be able to touch it. So it would remain in effect unless it specifically was a request to change it. Okay?
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions, Ms. Wanamaker?
No, sir.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Bongat?
Your Honor, were you also reserving confirmation of arrears and repayments?
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna. That way, I can figure out what the math's going to be on the child support and everything else, and try to get the gentleman something that covers interest and pays a little bit down. We're dealing with still a very young child, so he can definitely pay this off after a while. So, yeah.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, folks. I'll see you when it's really going to be hot outside in about 30 days. So, yeah, we'll see you then. All right.
Thank you.
All right. May Mr. Davis and Ms. Wanamaker be excused, Ms. Bongat.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, your folks are free to go. Mr. Davis, you'll get a copy, and Ms. Wanamaker, you'll get a copy of the reset order. Make sure you do appear on that date. Otherwise, the court will proceed to a final order, final hearing without you. And without any input, obviously I can't do anything differently than what we're looking at possibly doing today. So I'll see you all next month, and we're off the record.
You said July 24th at 9?
July 23rd.
July 23rd, ma'am.
Okay.
You'll
Thank
get the
you.
reset order that the state's going to send you a copy of the reset order to sign off on, and the temporary order, because I made a temporary order. They're going to send that to you. You'll be in that, and it should be in bold, I'm thinking, but it'll definitely be on the first page. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all. Thank you both very much. See you next month.